Hey, new reports out today predict the funds for Social Security retirement will run out by 2035. But as Democratic Socialists look at Social Security as the greatest socialism program in this country, how ironic it probably will have to be saved by capitalism, which, by the way, is already propping it up to a degree. Yes, polls have shown a positive view of capitalism is fading big time, while views of socialism becoming more positive. Here now to discuss where this takes us, Fox News contributors Katherine Timpf and Deneen Borelli, along with progressive commentator Danielle McLaughlin. Danielle, I'll start with you because, you know, Social Security is being, you know, they're saying, hey, we already have socialism in this country, and it's the Social Security plan, and everyone loves it. Yeah, but it's on the path to bankruptcy. So is that really what you guys want to use as a great example of socialism working?
Well, the reason that we're having this problem is we have an aging workforce. We have a big swath of baby boomers who are retiring, and they are living longer. We can fix this with a little bit of an increase in the payroll tax. We can increase this with raising the retirement age to 70 years of age.
In other words, leaning on capitalism to save the best socialist program we've got going.
There's nothing wrong with that. We have coexisted. Capitalism and socialism have coexisted in this country almost since its founding. We had a post service. We have roads, we have bridges, we have libraries, we have public schools. One of the things that made America great was public schools. I think if we had our time again and we started from now, would we have public schools or would they be called socialist?
Well, Deneen, what are your thoughts on this? Because I find it amazing that this is going to run, be bankrupt, and the only thing that can save it is capitalism.
Yeah, and the number you cited are the reserve funds in 2035. Right. But to your point, you want to tax people more money. That means less money for people to use as they see fit. Mm-hmm. And in my view, retirees should be the ones in control of their own finances and to invest, because they will get a better return on investment, and they will be able to pay themselves more money than they would from government through Social Security.
You know, Kat, millennials, a lot of them, from what I understand, don't even expect it to be there. Like, it's like a joke for many of them.
Yeah, every time I see how much of my check goes into Social Security, I'm like, well, you're welcome. You should be saying thank you, because I don't expect I'm going to get any of that money back. And which it does drive me nuts every time I hear someone say, well, you're so scared of socialism. We already have it in this country. We have Social Security. Why are you bragging about something that's not working anymore? Or it's not expected to work in the future. We're talking about if we don't tax people more, we don't have the money for the reserves, that the benefit number could go down 21%, up to 21% in the amount of benefits you can get from Social Security. That's not a program that's working. That's a problem that's failing.
Right.
I think the question is, what is it working now? What was it designed for? You know, 1929, 1935.
To be quite frank with you, I would argue that in 1929, since women lived on average to be 61 and men 58, maybe it was never designed to work in the first place. But I do want to say some critics are saying also that it was a safety net.
Yes.
But now it's become the primary, you know, a lot of people looking at it as their primary and only source of money in the future, and that it has stopped people from saving on their own, from investing on their own, and doing the kind of things that would help grow this economy and their own financial fortunes, because they believe the government's going to be there for them.
So it's about $1,400 a month or so, which, depending on where you live in this country, it might be enough to live on, it might not be. But we also have to look more broadly at what capitalism has done. There aren't so many good jobs anymore that have pensions built in. You know, our parents or the generation before, you had a job for life and you had a pension, you could buy a home. It's not the way things are, and it's capitalism that has, you know, supply and demand. We're not getting the kinds of benefits that our parents did.
Well, Deneen, there's no doubt, right, that either you could argue that capitalism is in trouble or the image of capitalism in trouble. But it is a major topic for 2020, and the pendulum is moving toward, you know, folks who are saying we need an alternative.
Clearly, socialism does not work, and you have 2020 presidential candidates pushing all kinds of socialist policies.
So what do you say to a 30-year-old who's thinking about voting for Bernie Sanders, in part because they don't believe the system as it's set up now is fair? They think capitalism is only rewarded to rich. What do you say to a person like that?
Look at Venezuela, and look at how the citizens in Venezuela are suffering on a daily basis, can't even get food, medicine, shelter. So look at Venezuela and look at what we have here now in the United States. Capitalism, independence, where you can do whatever you feel is best for you and your family.
Kat?
Just what does the government run efficiently? There's not a single thing that the government's done where I'm like, wow, that's the best way it could have been done. I mean, have you ever been to the DMV? You see how long that takes? That seems a little bit unnecessary because there's no competition. I think that we need to make competition and freedom cool again, instead of just people saying, oh, I don't want to pay off my student loans, so I'm going to vote for Bernie. People need to understand that nothing is free and that the government's money is money that they've taken from someone who worked for it.
Right. I would say the military is the only thing, but it hasn't been cost efficient.
Right. It hasn't been cost efficient.
To say the least, right? I mean, $5,000 toilet seats, but we are the freest country in the world. All right. Thank you, ladies, very much.
Thanks,
Kat,
Charles.
Deneen, Danielle. Hey, Tesla CEO Elon Musk is about to pitch driverless cars to investors right now. It's Earth Day, right? Though, listen, there's some doubts that this embattered company will ever be able to bring autonomous cars to the mainstream. In the meantime, big tech titans are on deck to unveil their first quarter profits. We're going to have a preview for you when we come back. Corporate America embracing marijuana for the 420 holiday this weekend, offering deals on snack foods and cheap rides on Lyft. This after Citigroup, one of the biggest names in business, announcing that they will start saying no to drug testing for pot. As drug legalization expands, we will see marijuana embraced more and more across the board. The question, though, is should we? Katherine Timpf is back with us. Now, from a business point of view,
right.
Last year, well, more recently, we saw a drug test show that marijuana use is at a 14-year high amongst workers. Is this something that businesses should be concerned about?
I don't think so. I think for one thing, this is happening for two reasons. One reason is because we're in a tight job market right now, and they want the unemployment is so low that it's becoming harder to find people to work for you.
Right.
So you want to open that pool of applicants to include people who might use marijuana. And the other thing is, as we mentioned, society is just becoming more accepting of it. 60% of this country now favors legalizing marijuana. I think that, like with anything, it's not for everyone. I think that there are people who abuse it, but I think there are people who also maybe smoke once in a while, which would be less harmful than someone who, say, is a drunk, which for some reason our society seems to accept a little bit more.
Well, you know, but on the weed side, with respect to helping work, if you're not a jazz musician or a rock star, will it help your performance at work?
I certainly don't think so. I certainly don't myself use it. I don't think that I know a lot of people who use it, and it can affect their motivation. I mean, it's not good for you to be high all the time. It's not good for you to be someone who gets high and tries to work. No, that's not a good thing. But society is changing their views on it. I think people are seeing it more as a decision that each individual can make for his or herself, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with them someone deciding to make that decision.
I had a kid who worked for me, smoked weed every day, and he would call in with the craziest excuses. Hey, he was walking a dog and lost him, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, what the hell? I'll be late. I don't know what I did with my dog. But when you have Citigroup saying we're not going to do this anymore, by the way, Goldman Sachs doesn't even test for it right now. That's a level of acceptance, though, that speaks broadly to the business world, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely does, and I think that's reflecting the views of society as a whole, especially because it is legalized now in so many places, or decriminalized in so many places, or even you get maybe a $20 ticket in other places. So I think that with it becoming more and more accepted, they're just following the lead. I don't think that they're taking the charge on this. I think they're responding to the way society is starting to view it.
Is it also, though, does it help to attract, like, different kind of millennials, or because all of a sudden Wall Street's been in a battle with Silicon Valley for the best workers. So they got rid of the dress code, and now they're getting rid of this stuff. Like I said, Goldman Sachs, they never have tested for weed. They test for other drugs. Citigroup now has stopped testing for marijuana. So is this also an attempt to bring in millennial hipsters?
Yeah, I think it absolutely is. It is an attempt to just widen the pool of who can be considered an applicant, and it's up to these businesses to decide that, and apparently they've decided that someone who maybe uses or has used marijuana, that might not affect them. It's also true that marijuana stays in your system a lot longer than other drugs, so you might have used marijuana a month ago, and then you can fail your drug test.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Dow Jones Industrial is off 54 points. Liz Claman, it's been sort of a mundane Monday, hasn't it?